Hi everyone, tonight we're going to open the Fridgy app. Your fridge and talk about the 7 fruits you might be eating that are secretly stealing your strength. That's right. What if the thing you reach for, thinking this is healthy, is actually what's making your legs weaker every week? Picture this. It's a quiet morning. You're standing at the counter with a bowl of fruit. Sunlight's warming your back. Maybe you've sliced some bananas, added a handful of grapes, and squeezed in a little orange juice. You're thinking, look at me, being all nutritious. But your knees are stiff again. Your balance, not what it was. And getting up from the sofa feels like dragging a backpack full of rocks. Here's a cold truth. You can eat healthily and still eat wrong. Especially after 60. Our metabolism shifts, hormones decline, and muscles especially in our legs need way more help than they used to. Some foods that were once great for you, now they're working against you. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. Also, drop your location and local time in the comments. I love knowing where everyone's tuning in from. Now. Turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise. And let's get started tonight. It started for me after a fall. Nothing dramatic. I just stood up too fast, turned too quick, and boom, my left leg gave out like a folding chair. I didn't break anything, thank goodness. But the message was loud and clear. I was losing strength, quietly, daily, and I had no idea why. I started looking into muscle loss. Sarcopenia, they call it. Sounds like a wizard spell, right? But it's real. And one of the culprits, sugar. Not the spoonful in your coffee. The sneaky sugar that hides in places you'd never expect, like fruit. That's when I started asking hard questions. Could my morning banana be part of the problem? What about the grapes I kept popping like candy while watching TV? Was my light and healthy fruit salad sabotaging my strength? Turns out yes, it was. Now, don't panic. I'm not saying fruit is evil. I'm saying certain fruits, at certain ages, in certain amounts, are not doing your legs any favors. Old age. Wisdom for tonight. What fuels the young may fail the wise. And if you're like me, you grew up being told, eat your fruit. It was practically a religion in our house. We had a bowl of apples and oranges on the table 24/7. But that advice didn't come with a footnote about insulin sensitivity, muscle catabolism, or blood sugar crashes after 60. Quick, quirky fact. The banana we eat today is genetically identical to millions of other bananas. It's the Cavendish variety, basically the fruit version of a cloned cat. No wonder it's everywhere. And no wonder it might not serve everyone the same way. This brings us to one of the more heated debates in geriatric nutrition. Should older adults follow the same fruit guidelines as younger populations? Some experts argue that antioxidants and fiber outweigh the sugar risks. Others say we should be switching to lower sugar options altogether. I've read both sides, but I've also read my body, and it doesn't lie. That's why tonight, we're peeling back the truth, pun fully intended. By the end of this, you might find yourself glaring at your fruit bowl with fresh suspicion. And that's okay. Because once you know better, you snack better. Bananas. Let's talk about the banana in the room. They're creamy, convenient, and come with their own biodegradable wrapper. What's not to love, right? For years, I started my mornings with one. Sometimes sliced over oatmeal. Other times, just eaten plain with a cup of coffee while half listening to the news. I thought I was doing something right, but my legs thought otherwise. Here's the tricky part. Bananas are praised for being high in potassium, and they are. Potassium helps regulate muscle contractions, sure. But what they don't tell you on the fruit sticker is that bananas are also high in natural sugars and low in fiber, especially when they're ripe. That sugar, it hits your bloodstream fast. It's like a little glucose firework. And if your body isn't as insulin sensitive as it once was, spoiler, after 60, it's usually not. The sugar doesn't get used for energy, it gets stored as fat, or worse, it creates inflammation. And guess where inflammation shows up first? Joints, knees, ankles, legs, the very foundation you're hoping to strengthen. There's an old saying I heard from a retired physiotherapist in Winnipeg. Bananas are great until your legs say otherwise. It's stuck with me now. I'm not saying to toss out every banana in your house, but I started to cut back. I used to eat one every morning. Now I might have half a banana once a week, usually with protein to balance the sugar rush. And you know what? I noticed my legs didn't feel as heavy. I wasn't dragging myself through that mid-morning fog anymore. Want to hear something ridiculous? Bananas are technically berries. Real berries, like blueberries and blackberries, don't even qualify by botanical standards. The world's upside down, just like my understanding of healthy food used to be. And while we're here, let me say this, the debate about bananas is not new. In nutrition circles, there's this tug of war. Some say they're nature's energy bar. Others say they're a desert dressed in yellow. I've come to believe they're both. The real issue, timing, quantity, and your age. Because when you're over 60, you have to ask, is this fruit fueling my body, or is it sneaking around the back and weakening it? For me, the answer was clear. I had to outgrow my banana habit. Literally, one morning, I swapped my usual banana for half an avocado with a sprinkle of salt and lemon. I won't lie, my taste buds protested. But my knees, they sent me a thank you note. Less puffiness, less ache. You don't have to hate bananas, but maybe you respect them more. Understand what they really are. A sweet treat from nature that might have overstayed its welcome on your breakfast plate. So now, when I see someone over 60 eating bananas like they're candy, I wince just a little, because I've been there, and I know how subtle the damage can be. One banana doesn't ruin your legs, but one banana every day for 10 years might. Let's move on to grapes, or, as I call them now, sugar bombs in disguise. They're so innocent, right? Tiny, juicy, refreshing, especially if you pop them in the freezer for a summer snack. I used to grab a bowl, plop onto the couch, and munch away like I was doing my body a favor. Look at me, eating fruit instead of chips. I'd say, proud as a peacock. But here's what I didn't know. Grapes, despite their small size, pack a sugar punch that hits harder than you think. And if you're over 60, that sugar doesn't just go away quietly. It creeps into your bloodstream, spikes your insulin, then crashes you down hard. That kind of roller coaster isn't just bad for energy. It wears out your legs. Seriously, after a week of nightly grape snacking, I noticed my morning walks felt heavier. Not sore, exactly, just sluggish. Like my muscles were wrapped in cling film. There's actually some academic debate about the glycemic impact of grapes. Some researchers argue that the antioxidants in grapes, like resveratrol, counterbalance the sugar content. But here's the kicker. Those benefits come mostly from the skins and seeds, and who's eating grape seeds these days? Not me, not you, not anyone with a dental crown and a mortgage. And don't even get me started on seedless grapes. Sweet, genetically modified to be as palatable as candy, and dangerously easy to overeat. You don't peel them, you don't slice them, you just toss them in like popcorn. Before you know it, you've eaten 2 servings and your legs are paying the price. Here's the old age wisdom I learned the hard way. If it's too easy to eat, it's probably too much for your body. Also, this might be a fun or weird fact for your next trivia night. Grapes are technically a type of berry too. I know, we've already been betrayed by bananas. Turns out fruit classification is a circus. But what's not funny is what grapes can do to your blood sugar after 60. You may notice increased swelling around the ankles, random tingling in your calves, or just more fatigue after standing for long periods. All of those can be subtle signs that your leg health is under siege and sugar's the culprit. I'm not saying you can never eat grapes again, but I've learned to portion them out with intention. A handful, never a bowl. And always with something protein-rich, nearby it's nuts, or even a boiled egg. One more thing, watch out for those pre-packaged fruit cups in the grocery store. They're often loaded with grape halves floating in syrup and calling themselves heart healthy. Don't fall for it. It's like calling a jelly bean a vitamin now. When I want something sweet, I go for berries with fiber, blackberries, raspberries, even a couple slices of pear. They don't spike me like grapes do. My legs feel steadier, my knees less cranky. So, if you've got grapes sitting in the fridge right now, take a look at them tomorrow morning and ask yourself, are they helping or are they hiding? Because your legs, they'll tell you the truth. Eventually. I used to think oranges were the golden standard of health. Remember those commercials? Tall glasses of orange juice at breakfast, bright and zesty, as if sunshine itself had been liquefied. I grew up believing that if I drank my OJ and ate my oranges, I'd be fortified for life. Turns out life had other plans, especially after 60. Let me paint you a scene. One morning last spring, I had an orange for breakfast, a juicy one I peeled with shaky fingers while sitting near the window. Sweet, tangy, and satisfying until my knees started aching again by mid-morning. It wasn't sharp pain, more like a persistent throbbing. I chalked it up to age. But after it kept happening, I had to ask myself, was the orange really so innocent? Here's what I learned. Oranges are acidic. Not just in taste, but in their effects on your system, especially if you already deal with inflammation. And guess what? Inflammation loves to set up camp in joints, especially knees, ankles, and hips. Just the areas that carry you through the day. Add to that their high sugar content, yes, even natural sugar, and you've got a double whammy. Acid plus sugar equals a not so great cocktail for aging legs. Here's the old age wisdom for today. Acid in the mouth, ache in the knees. Of course, there's academic debate around this. Some experts say vitamin C in oranges helps with collagen production, which is good for joints. That's true, but it's not the whole picture. Vitamin C helps, but if it's riding in on a sugar spike and a wave of acidity, you might be doing more harm than good, especially when you drink orange juice. Let me tell you something. If you're over 60 and still drinking a full glass of orange juice every morning, you're basically starting your day with a blood sugar bomb. It's all the sugar of multiple oranges, stripped of fiber, straight to the bloodstream. No wonder we feel sleepy and sore by 10 a.m. Also quirky. Fact, incoming orange juice used to be bitter. The oranges our grandparents knew weren't as sweet as today's. Modern oranges have been bred for maximum sweetness and shelf life. not your joint health, I started cutting back. At first, I missed it. The brightness, the tang, the comfort of routine. But then something strange happened. My knees felt lighter, less swollen. I wasn't waking up with that stiff, creaky feeling in my legs. It was like someone had oiled my joints overnight now. When I crave citrus, I go for a squeeze of lemon in warm water. It satisfies the craving without drowning me in sugar. If I really want an orange, I eat a small piece, never a full fruit, and I do it after a meal, when it won't hijack my blood sugar. It's funny how the foods we trusted the most can turn against us as we age. Like a longtime friend who suddenly starts borrowing money and never pays it back. But you don't need to ban oranges forever. You just need to know how to use them sparingly, wisely, and always with an ear tuned to what your body's saying afterward. Because those little whispers in your knees, they're not just random creaks, they're messages. And I've learned to listen. Summer used to be my excuse to eat like a kid again. I'd slice up watermelon, cube fresh pineapple, maybe even toss in some strawberries and call it dinner. It felt light, refreshing, and guilt-free. But when I started noticing that my legs ached more in July than they did in December, I knew something wasn't adding up. Let's talk about pineapple and watermelon, two of the most deceptive fruits when it comes to aging muscles. First off, they're both loaded with water. Sounds good, right? Hydration is important. But these fruits are also loaded with fast-acting sugars and not much fiber to slow them down. That means your blood sugar goes up fast and crashes just as hard. And when your insulin's on a roller coaster, so is your energy and your strength. Let's rewind to one particular evening. It was hot, the fan was on, and I was curled up with a bowl of watermelon chunks straight from the fridge. I felt like a 5-year-old again, in the best way. But the next morning, I woke up with lead legs. I'm talking calves that felt like they'd walked a marathon overnight. That was my wake-up call. Old age wisdom for today. Sweet water brings sour strength. There's a heated conversation in nutrition about high glycemic fruits. Some say they're natural and hydrating, so they can't hurt. Others argue that their sugar load, especially without fiber or fat to balance it, is too much for seniors. As usual, the truth lives somewhere in the middle, but leaning toward caution. Especially if your legs already feel like they're working overtime. And pineapple. Oh, pineapple. I used to love it in smoothies, in stir-fries, even grilled on skewers. But it's acidic, like oranges, and loaded with fructose. That's the kind of sugar that bypasses insulin and heads straight for the liver. Great if you're running marathons. Not so great if your evening workout is walking around the block with a cane. Quick, quirky fact: pineapple contains bromelain, an enzyme that actually aids digestion and reduces inflammation in small doses. But here's the twist: it's most concentrated in the core of the pineapple, which most of us cut out and toss. The sweet part we eat, mostly sugar. After cutting back on these fruits, I noticed not just steadier legs, but steadier moods too. Less abandon, less afternoon crash. I wasn't falling asleep on the couch at 2:30 like a cartoon grandpa anymore. If you really love watermelon or pineapple, don't despair. You don't have to eliminate them. You just need to outsmart them. I slice watermelon into thin pieces and pair it with a small amount of feta cheese. Sounds weird, I know, but the salt and protein helped buffer the sugar. With pineapple, I now stick to a few chunks after a hearty meal, not before. And honestly, Sometimes I skip them altogether and opt for cucumber slices with a hint of lime. Same refreshing summer feeling, none of the sugar spike. The lesson here is this: even the freshest, most natural foods can work against you if they're not balanced. Nature is kind, but she doesn't always account for age-related insulin resistance. So the next time you're reaching for that summer bowl of juicy fruit, maybe pause for a second and ask, is this helping me move better tomorrow, or just giving me a sugar high tonight? Because at our age, we don't just eat for flavor anymore. We eat for function, for stability, for the strength to get up from the floor without drama and pineapple. Well, let's just say, it's now a guest in my kitchen, not a roommate. Ah, yes, the smoothie phase. I fell hard into that one. There was a stretch in my late 60s when I convinced myself that blending fruit was the holy grail of healthy aging. It felt modern, efficient. Why chew, I thought, when I can sip? I bought a fancy blender, one of those industrial beasts that could pulverize concrete if I let it. Every morning, bananas, berries, pineapple, orange juice, sometimes a scoop of protein powder if I was feeling ambitious. It tasted amazing, cold, thick, sweet, like a milkshake with a halo. But let me tell you, nothing makes your legs feel more like overcooked spaghetti than starting the day with a full blender's worth of fruit sugar. I should have known better. See, when you blend fruit especially, multiple types, you strip away most of the fiber that normally slows sugar absorption. That means you're mainlining fructose straight to your liver and glucose straight to your bloodstream. There's no digestion dance, no time buffer, just a flood of energy your body has no idea what to do with. So it stores it, or burns it too fast. Either way, your muscles don't benefit. Old age wisdom. Chew your food or lose your footing. I remember one afternoon, I bent down to tie my shoe and actually lost balance. Not from dizziness, just weakness. Like the muscle signal from my brain didn't reach my leg in time. I'd had one of my fruit-heavy smoothies a couple hours earlier, and after a quick nap, I was foggy and slow. That's when the light bulb flickered. Also, let me hit you with a fun fact. The average homemade fruit smoothie can contain up to 50 grams of sugar, more than a can of cola, and we drink it like it's medicine. Now, some people argue that smoothies are still better than processed snacks. And yes, they're natural, but so is lava. Doesn't mean you should drink it. If you're going to blend, blend smart. I now stick to half a banana, a handful of frozen spinach, a spoon of nut butter, and unsweetened almond milk. It's not winning any smoothie contests, but it doesn't wreck my blood sugar, and my legs, they thank me. Silently, but consistently. There's another thing. Digestion actually starts in the mouth. When you chew food, your body releases enzymes that help break it down. That process doesn't happen the same way when you drink it. So your metabolism gets confused. And muscles, especially aging ones, don't get the support they need. It's a strange betrayal, isn't it? You think you're being good. You're skipping pancakes or pastries. You're avoiding fast food. But you're still losing strength, still struggling upstairs, still wondering why the heck your thighs feel like bags of rice. I had to stop pretending that just because something came through a straw, it was clean and healing. Some of these smoothies were sneakily draining me, one gulp at a time. Now, I chew more. I eat slower. I savor whole food with all its texture and bite. And when I do blend, I do it with purpose, not with blind faith in whatever Pinterest told me last week. There's power in the bite. Real power. Chewing wakes up your brain, tells your stomach what's coming, and gives your legs what they need to move you through the day. So if you're sipping smoothies every morning, thinking you're fighting aging, you might actually be fast-tracking it. At least when it comes to leg strength and energy. Don't fall for the smoothie scam, or at least not the sweet kind. Because once your legs start giving out, no amount of fancy blenders is going to bring them back. And trust me, those stairs aren't getting shorter. Let's wrap this up with the fruit I struggled to give up the most. Mangoes. Oh, mangoes. Smooth, golden, honey, sweet, so soft they practically melt on your tongue. I used to buy them by the crate during peak season. I'd slice them like a pro, fan out the pieces, and honestly, I felt like I was treating myself like royalty. But royalty has its cost. Here's the thing, mangoes are among the highest sugar fruits you can eat. One medium mango has more sugar than a glazed donut. Yup, I didn't believe it either. But once I started paying attention to how I felt after eating one, the truth became impossible to ignore. It started with swelling in my feet, then tightness in my calves, and one day I noticed that just standing up from the couch felt like lifting cinder blocks with my thighs. That was the final straw. I know the mango fans out there will fight me on this, but it's full of antioxidants. It helps your skin. Sure, there's merit to all that, but that's like saying chocolate has magnesium. It does, but that doesn't make it health food. So here's the old age wisdom I'm sticking with. The sweeter the bite, the slower the stride. Mangoes spike your blood sugar fast, and as we age, that spike turns into a crash one that takes your energy, your muscle tone, and even your balance down with it. One quirky tidbit. Mangoes belong to the same plant family as poison ivy. No joke. It's why some people get a rash after handling the skin, yet we still trust them more than broccoli. After I gave up daily mangoes, it was like someone had turned the lights back on in my legs. Less fatigue, fewer leg cramps at night, and I kid you not, and fewer Charlie horses when stretching. Those little improvements, they added up, week after week. But I didn't stop eating sweet things entirely. I just got smarter. Now I go for apple slices with almond butter, or stewed pears with cinnamon. Still sweet, still satisfying, but without that mango sugar tsunami. What's more important is how we pair sweetness. If you're going to eat mango, eat a few cubes after a protein-rich lunch nut on an empty stomach. And definitely not at night when your body should be winding down, not battling a glucose spike. See, food timing matters now. It didn't when we were 30. Heck, even at 50 you could get away with mango for dinner. But at 65, 70, 75, your body demands strategy. Your legs require care. And I know it sounds like a lot of rules, a lot of giving up, but what you get in return, it's priceless. The ability to get up without groaning, to take the stairs without pausing, to stand on one leg while brushing your teeth without tipping over like a tree in a windstorm. That's freedom, that's power. So the next time you're staring at a ripe, golden mango, ask yourself, do I want 5 minutes of tropical sweetness, or 20 more years of sturdy, reliable legs? Because in the long run, I'd take the legs, every time. So here we are, at the end of this quiet little journey through fruit bowls and forgotten wisdom. If your legs have been whispering, lately aching, wobbling, or just feeling older than they should, maybe they've been trying to tell you something. Sugar hides in the sweetest places. Even nature's candy comes with consequences. But tonight, As the room quiets down and your body begins to settle, know this: it's never too late to listen, adjust, and move differently. You deserve strength. You deserve stillness. You deserve tomorrow, now. Close your eyes, feel your breath, and let that calm carry you to sleep. Good night.